Well, we were joking yesterday about Chuck Rosenberg, about how Mika wanted to talk to me about what somebody was saying on another cable news channel. And
it was important to know what other people are saying and hearing and ingesting.
8 at night. And I was
disinformation.
Listening to some music to kind of forget about the day, the news day. And I said, we don't need to hear what they say. It doesn't matter what they say. What matters is what goes on in the courtrooms. And we all know where this is going. And you look at these poll numbers. We all know where this is going. And I think the question, Mika, is how long does Tim Scott, again, somebody that I've said is a very strong candidate, how long does Tim Scott humiliate himself by pretending that Donald Trump did nothing wrong? How long does he humiliate himself by talking about Hunter Biden taking $7 million, saying nothing about Jared Kushner's $3 billion? Only 1% of that, as Steve Ratner told us, coming from the United States, and the rest coming from people he worked with in the Gulf. Like, how long are they going to paint these false equivalencies? I'm not saying Jared did anything illegal, but if you're going to say Donald Trump stole nuclear secrets and Hunter Biden making $7 million from 3 different countries, and it's just 7, from 3 different countries, and you're going to create this false narrative? I keep trying to say it, and I wish somebody would listen to me in the Republican Party other than Chris Christie. This ends badly. This ends badly.
Yeah.
You look terrible defending this guy who tried to steal an election and undermine democracy for the rest of your life.
Well, more importantly, you look weak. They look weak.
You want to
elect a leader that can stand strong in the face of whatever comes his or her way.
Right.
And if something is wrong, a leader will say, that's wrong. That's not what our Constitution says.
Right.
That's not what a democracy is about. That's not the president I will be. Where is that?
And if, as Jonathan O'Meara pointed out, a majority of Americans say Donald Trump threatened the very existence of democracy itself. Only 18% said he strengthened it. Like, so I agree. You know, we can go to diners wherever we want to go to, and every American's voice is valid. Mm-hmm. Every vote should count the same. But I think the media needs to just wake up and stop obsessing on the people who make you catastrophize, who say the craziest things to get more views, more hits, more whatever. Because the reality is, I mean, what matters, as Chuck said, is what happens in the courtroom. Not the crazy stuff you're reading on social media, or that you're watching on television on another network, or that your crazy uncle sends to you something that he thought about while he was on the toilet, and you give that as much credence as you do news stories that come out of the Wall Street Journal with hundreds and hundreds of journalists, with dozens and dozens of editors, with the understanding that if they don't get it right, they're in big trouble, right?
Yeah.
So you can do all that if you want. You're wasting your time, because right now it's what matters inside the jury box. And politically, Mika, you look at these numbers, you see what independents are doing. And let me say again, Republicans, this doesn't get better. Isn't it interesting? The Democrats want cameras in the courtroom. Democrats want transparency. Democrats want this trial before the election. Now, if you're innocent,
what's the problem?
What are you saying? You're saying, I want cameras in the courtroom.
Right.
Yeah, get this. I'm innocent. Give us time to get ready. And you're damn right, I want this before the election, because I want my name cleared. But what does Donald Trump and his Republican supporters do? They say, no cameras in the courtroom. No, we don't want no transparency. We don't want people to actually see what he did. And yet, let's push it off after the election. After the election. We don't want the jury. We don't want the jury to have a say before the election. Let me tell you, that's somebody who's guilty Because if you're accused of doing something you didn't do, you want transparency if you've been charged. You want that trial as soon as possible. You want it on TV for all the world to see. They don't. And also, politically, Mika, again, what matters is the jury box. But politically, look at where the independents are going here. The independents tell the tell for Republicans.
So Fox News poll shows the majority of voters think Donald Trump broke the law in his efforts to stay in power following the 2020 election. In the survey, 53% say his actions after the vote were illegal.
Wow.
That includes 62% of independents who believe he broke the law. I'll go on to a new Quinnipiac poll conducted after Jack Smith's federal indictment of Trump this month, but before the Fulton County indictment, showing 54% of Americans think the former president should be prosecuted on federal criminal charges relating to his attempt to overturn the 2020 election.
So here those independent numbers make it 62%,
Wow.
62% of independents believe Donald Trump, what he did was illegal. 62%. Only 22%. The wrong one. There we go. Only 22% say it was not illegal.
So, Reverend,
62% to 22%. That's who the Republican Party, that's who they're embracing.
so there's a lot of questions as to why Republicans would continue to walk down this road, Reverend Dow. Candidates like Tim Scott refusing to answer questions about basic things that Donald Trump did. Republican leaders in Congress as well, not seeing how badly this ends. I mean, do the polls at this point, trigger a turn from Donald Trump? Because everyone with a brain who understands basics of the law and the Constitution can see where this is going.
It shows the political cowardice of a lot of the opponents of Donald Trump in the primaries, because apparently their voting public, the Republican voting public, is clearer than they are. How do you have these kinds of polls and you don't have any of the major candidates that are challenging or claiming to be challenging Donald Trump for the nomination, even near where the polls are saying their voters are? And it is outrageous when you think about it, taking a step back, that the leadership of the party has acquiesced to somebody that is not only legally in question, but is clearly toxic to a lot of the public. So what are you winning here? And I think Joe makes a very good point. If you have nothing to hide, if you accuse me of something that I felt I was totally innocent of, I would say rush to trial, because I want to be acquitted at best, hung jury at worst, before the election. Why would I want to wait till after the election? If I'm acquitted before the election, it gives me a momentum, if I'm Donald Trump, to say that, see, I can win these primaries. I already proved one case wrong. The fact that you know the facts means you want to kick the can down the curb as long as you can, because you know what you know, and you know everybody else may know it at trial.
Exactly. And Charlie Sykes, I mean, is it cowardice or is it stupidity? Like, Donald Trump's Republican Party has lost every election since 2017.
It can't be that stupid.
I don't have to count the thing. But here's the thing. They know they're going to lose in 24 with Donald Trump at the head of the ticket. They know that. You look at these numbers, they know that. So, I mean, when I was a Republican, not only did we like to win, we like to win big.
Right.
I didn't like close races. I never had close races. I got angry if it ever looked like it was going to be a close race. We ran, and we ran hard, and we ran to win. And now you've got people who are running to lose. They see the numbers. They know they're going to lose. And these politicians, you know, it's almost like a doctor that opens up a patient to see if they have cancer, finds it all over their body, closes the body, and tells the patient, you're fine. You're good. You're going out. clean bill of health, enjoy yourself.
For a while.
When the doctor knows what's going to happen. This is what Republican leaders are doing now. They know they're going to lose with Trump.
Well, they have two problems. Number one, they're not leaders, they're followers of the base, and they've been doing this for 7 years. And many of them know, obviously, that they're going to lose with Trump, but they're also afraid they will lose without Trump. I mean, this is the corner they've put themselves in. They've got a base that is so rabidly behind the cult leader that if Donald Trump is defeated or pushed aside, they're worried that those voters won't turn out and vote. So they have to figure out, how do you push past Donald Trump without antagonizing his base? And nobody has figured that out yet. But I do think, to your previous questions, I think the debate in Milwaukee next week is going to be kind of interesting. And by the way, Joe, I totally agree with you. I don't think Donald Trump's going to show up. But we'll see whether or not there is a response to this massive reality check from the other candidates, whether Tim Scott actually wants to run for president or wants to run for vice president. Because if there's going to be a pivot, it's hard to imagine that it doesn't happen relatively soon.